How are you, man? I'm Gil Roth, and this is the first of my COVID check-in podcasts. I'm recording with past guests of the Virtual Memories show to find out how they're holding up during the pandemic, what sort of art or literature is helping them cope, and whether they're able to make art in the midst of it all. The guest this time around is Kate Lacour, who calls in from New Orleans via Zencastr. Kate's got an amazing book called Vivisectionary, published by Fantagraphics. You should also look her up on Instagram at Kate Lacour Art to see the diary comics that she's doing right now, which are blowing my mind. And that's KateLacourArt. You can also support her on Patreon as Kate Lacour. All one word. Happy birthday. I know it's a wonderful birthday for you. You must be in great high spirits this whole day, right?
We'll see. It's only 2:00. There's plenty of hours left in the day for more wonderful things to happen.
But how are you dealing?
With turning 39 or with everything?
I guess it's a combination of 39 and the end of the world.
Right.
Which one do you want to tackle?
39 is fine. Yeah, boy, I bet everybody's up and down, right? I remember, this is too heavy, but it popped into my head and I'm going to say it. You know that book, 17 miles a second? I'm getting the number wrong. It's
7 miles a second. Yeah. I remember that guy. Yeah.
It's illustrated by Romberger, I think, and I forget the author. But it's at the end where, the guy's got HIV or AIDS, and he's just saying, the hours go by where I forget that I have this, and things just get to be normal. And then I remember, and I have to deal with all that over again. I get to forget many times during the day because, I'm busy with, super busy. I'm work, and I'm homeschooling my oldest, and the other two have a lot of, they're still in diapers. It's a lot of hands-on stuff all the time. So I'm so busy. Sometimes it's annoying because, people are posting about the graphic novel they're making headway on, or the, paella they just made. Oh my God, I just ate, literally last night, I ate a bag of croutons for dinner. I'm not, none of this is not an artist retreat for me at all. But, on the other hand, emotionally, it's been, probably very healthy to be like just super frazzled with a lot of stuff from sun up to sundown. And then since I started drawing these COVID diary comics, having a little compartmentalized space to freak out every night for about 45 minutes and then put it away.
Yeah. Do you have that as a routine yet? I know it's early, but have you blocked out a certain time of the night to work on the diary stuff, or is it still
it blocked itself out. Once the last kid is in bed, I immediately go down and crank that out and then pass out. So it's I don't have to think about structuring my day because it has to have a structure.
Yeah. Now, how does it differ from you did sort of journal diary comics last year when Vivisectionary was coming out. These are different in format and style, and obviously the content's very different because you're focusing on what we're all going through. But as far as formal structure and all that, like how is it different for you, or what are you doing now that you weren't doing with those sorts of panel by panel journal stuff you were doing earlier?
So I would never have done diary comics, but that was a thing I'd enjoyed reading other people doing on the Comics Journal, and I had a book coming out. It seemed like a good time, but it made me very uncomfortable.
You seemed really uncomfortable with it. I was going to say, you seemed like this was not the form you wanted to be working in.
It made me so uncomfortable. It was a weird exercise for me. I tried to remember that show Muppet Babies, how you would only see like the adult's legs. I would try to have myself out of the frame. I never showed my face or anything like that. And I tried not to bring too much of myself into it. It just made me uncomfortable. And I think the drawing style was pretty stiff too. I just felt pretty self-conscious. Again, even though it was something I like wanted to do. And with these, I just don't have the bandwidth to censor myself, or think about how I want to come across, or even be too hung up about how right I am, which is a little bit of a problem, I know, because I'm opining about a lot of things about how the situation is being handled here, why things are so bad in this particular region, and what I think is going to happen next, and things like that. And I'm an outsider, I'm not all that informed. I've only lived here, like 9 years. I don't, I haven't followed the local politics too closely in this time. I've been busy with the kids and work. And I'm not really a part of the culture, so I'm aware as I'm, spouting off about these things that I may be getting it totally wrong. But for those 45 minutes, I just want to vomit my perspective out there for myself and for other people who are from here or who are not from here and who are wondering. And it's been helpful having that pressure on because I don't have the time to be stiff and like self-censor a lot.
Do you binge on the news at this point, or are you able to? Do the kids and every other responsibility keep you from spending too much time immersing yourself in it?
I'm definitely sneaking peeks, but again, it's they're keeping me away from it a little bit too. I mean, I think like everyone, right now, it's a traffic accident that you can't help wanting to, pull over and watch the fire spread, but it's also nauseating once you start reading. So I'm trying to use it responsibly.
Yeah. Yeah, I know people, not myself, okay, maybe me, who are in that constant Twitter refresh mode. So not having kids or a social life, it's easier for me to fall into that sort of loop. So, I'm sort of hoping you have enough other stuff that keeps you from 24/7 with this stuff. But
It's hard to be healthy with. I don't think anybody's got that one figured out as far as I know. Something else that's been really helpful too is actually being active. So I've been trying to do things to help other people in the community, like doing grocery runs for some of the families that have been cut off from some of the free meal services that they need. Making meals for foster families. I donated blood. So I'm publicly patting myself on the back now.
I read the blood donation thing and was just like, oh my God, why would she do that? I know, as a good person, you want to do that, but everything about it seemed incredibly unsafe the way you depicted it. So.
It definitely made me a little uncomfortable. Not that I want to discourage anyone from doing it. I'm sure if you're from another town, it would be a completely different experience. But and look, that was last week. I don't think everybody was freaking out quite as hard as I was last week. People still, like I ran into a neighbor the other day and he walked right over to me and I was backing up as he was, dude, 10 feet.
That happened with my wife last week. There was a neighbor who said, oh, this friend of ours is staying here from New York City, and came walking across the street to them. And she and the other neighbor who were walking our dogs just ran away, basically, ran up the hill. Like, no, stay the hell away. So.
When they used to make lepers carry bells that they'd have to ring when they were coming? I want everybody to have one of those right now. And just doing something, it's not because I'm a good person. It allows me to brush off a little bit. It's just a purely selfish thing because I get to say to myself, now, look, I've done what I can. I can't do more without exposing my family. Right. And it helps me kind of put that in the little box and put the tape on the box and put the box in the drawer and, push the drawer out the window temporarily.
Is there anything you're able to, well, reading sounds like it's that you don't have enough time in the day, but is there like comfort music or other stuff you sort of partake in to?
Actually, I've been reading and I've
Yeah.
been enjoying it a lot. I found it's nice to have a book that you can go to
Hmm.
and just escape into. My husband reads all this heavy stuff all the time. I'll look over at, his bedside table and it's all these, the history of the American Indian Wars and, the colonization of the Belgian Congo and stuff, just all this heavy stuff. No, I want a flight of something fancy at the end of the day. And I've been reading, I can't pronounce his name, but it's Xinliu. It's
Oh,
a
the science fiction writer.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's really good. It might be part of a big genre of real good stuff that I'm coming to and just surprised that it exists, or he may be a standalone phenomenon. But I understand he's super popular in China, and I love it because he's obviously coming from a science background. I read that it's part of a whole genre called hard science fiction, where like the scientific plausibility of it
Yeah. Yeah.
is important, and he discusses things assuming that you know a lot of scientific background information. Which I kind of love. It makes
Hmm.
me feel smart when I know it, and when I don't, I get to learn something. And it's also been really interesting because I feel like when I often read works by, like, say, Asian folks, it's by Asian American folks. And so they're writing
Hmm.
with a certain awareness. I feel like that Western or white readers are going to be reading it. And this one was like written for, a Chinese audience. And so I feel like it explained things a lot less.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. It felt like there wasn't, I hadn't been as aware of like the white gaze in a lot of the literature that I read until I was reading this and a couple of other books. I don't know. It was just interesting to read something that didn't have me as an audience member at all in mind. And I feel like was really interesting to learn, I don't know, a lot about where people are at right now. And unfortunately, I'm reading a sequel, or not sequel, but another book that he wrote, unrelated to the very popular
The three
trilogy
body
of
problem,
his,
right?
yeah, which I read first and enjoyed, which is about a disease that, a radioactive event that kills everyone over the age of 13. Um, and so the world's in the hands of, all these children who have unreasonable demands of the people in charge who are themselves 13. Uh, and looking at the leadership now and the people who are, the decisions people are making on, within the citizenry, it's
Yeah.
a little too close to home. I may have to put it aside.
Yeah. You realize some of this stuff is very veiled as metaphors go. There's not a whole lot of coverage there.
Yeah, this is getting too close to one of my husband's type books. I think I may
Nice.
need to find a better outlet. You know
Hmm.
what else has been good, Gil? And I think that
Yeah.
other people are gravitating towards this too, is before I started, before all this happened, I was set aside drawing for a bit and was doing a bunch of like weird taxidermy type things and also just a ton of gardening,
Hmm.
like growing all these fruits and vegetable plants. I got chickens. I started setting things up to get some rabbits. I don't know where that was coming from, but I'm so glad I have that now, going and doing some weeding and being outside and dirty is very nice. And also, the most immediate thing that I saw people posting about and asking for, because I go online a lot to try to find people in the neighborhood who need things that I can provide. And
Hmm.
people are constantly being like, do you have any planters? Do you have any cucumber seedlings? And this on the boards where people are only posting about like, please help me file unemployment. How do I get away
Yeah.
from my abusive spouse in a quarantine? No like requests for Instapots.
Yeah.
It's just like tangible like crisis aid
Hmm.
and like gardening requests. People like desperately want to sprout something right now. I don't really understand that, but I found that's been super helpful right now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's supposedly New York and other areas. The whole like adoptive pet or even fostering pets is blowing through the roof. Like everybody wants
Interesting.
someone to care about, something furry or feathered, I guess, to
Yeah.
take care of. So
Yep.
because there's no room for gardening in the city.
Yeah. Caring for something, whether it's, some alfalfa sprouts or a rescue pet or your kids, there is a certain sense of control. I don't know what world they're going to be coming to in a month or in a year when they graduate, if school still exists. But, there is a sense of I cannot promise you're going to have what I had, but I am in control of being able to commit to you and, do right by you, insofar as I'm able. I think there's a sense of, there can't be justice outside my front door, but there could be, some justice inside, and we can make things as fair and right as we can with what we have. And that's super reassuring, I think.
I wish you a happy birthday, but I mean, you do still have a few hours for it to get better, but
I can get drunker.
yeah. Have you been, do you find yourself drinking a little more than usual in the circumstance?
I gave it up for Lent,
That's right.
along with eating meat. And then when this happened, I got obliterated. And I, had a couple days, where I had one. And I was like, no, not anymore. And I reshaved my head and poured out my $3 chuck and promised I would at least see it through till Easter. So I don't know whether I get points for that or not. But birthdays are, the bets are off.
I imagine it'll be like The Good Place. We'll have the pluses and minuses by the end. And speaking of, are you binging on anything TV wise or Netflix?
Why are people? I've never heard of any of these shows. I haven't watched TV or a movie in literally years that wasn't a kids show.
That's what I wonder. With kids, you can't really make the time.
I mean, I've been binging on Blue's Clues. Does that count?
Yeah, if it keeps the kids sedated, I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah, all the rules are out the window there. Although podcasts, I'm still doing.
I've still got 500 hours for you to listen to. So.
What can I say about TV, series, kids, binging? Mm-hmm.
As long as you're getting by, man, that's
Oh, yeah. So there's a lot of patchouli baths I want to take and series I want to watch. But I feel like being a parent and an artist, or being someone who has a really demanding job and an artist, having a lot of commitments kind of means you need to choose between self-expression and self-care most of the time. A few weeks ago when I was gardening my brains out and not really drawing, that's what mattered the most to me at that moment. I was doing something that made me feel good. I guess I'm glad I did it and filled my tank a bit, because right now, having a chance to, draw until I pass out is apparently the most important thing.
I'm quote unquote enjoying the strips. I know enjoyment isn't the right term for it, but I'm glad you're making art in the middle of all this.
Thank you. I'm glad it means something to you. As I say, I'm trying to do it rather than think about it. So I don't know what, if anything, it means to others. And it's nice to hear that it's landing somehow with you.
Thanks. And, we'll see what the COVID check-in series ends up resulting in for me. So, Kate, thanks for coming on, and, have a great birthday. And I hope we don't have to do too many check-ins.
Best to you and yours.
And that was Kate Lacour. Go check out her Instagram at Kate Lacour Art and pick up her book, Vivisectionary, from Fantagraphics. We'll be back irregularly with more of these COVID check-ins. If you want to send me a little update to read on the air, or have something you want to share with the listeners, let me know. We'll set something up. I'm at groth18@gmail.com. You can find contact info at our sites, vmspod.com and chimeraobscura.com/VM. I'll be back once a week, I hope, with full-length episodes, conversations that aren't just COVID-related, but we're also going to have a bunch of these going forward until I can sit down across a table with somebody again and just have a conversation. So I'm Gil Roth. Thank you for listening, and stay safe.